supporting our in-company teacher training programs, and then also working with our clients and organizations who are delivering SIY at scale. So that is me and a brief introduction of us and who we are, but more importantly, we'd love to get a sense of who is here with us today. And you're probably all Zoom experts at this point, but you'll see a chat icon at the bottom middle of your Zoom window. You can click on that and just make sure it says everyone. And just type in to let us know, where in the world are you joining us from? And if you'd like to, you're also welcome to share what organization or industry you're in, but just letting us know where in the world you are joining us from. Wow, a lot of places: Switzerland, SAP, the Bahamas. Ooh, that sounds nice. Deutschland, auf Deutsch, wonderful. Walnut Creek, just across the bridge. So many people joining us from all over. Welcome, welcome.
Bhutan, Austria, what an international and diverse crowd. Amazing. I'm sure it's different times in different places. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Some of you, I think, should still be asleep already.
And that's so, since we are all joining from different places and different time zones and likely very different points in our day, something that we like to do at SIYLI when we start any meeting is a short practice to help us all arrive together in this shared space. So I will hand it back over to Steph for that.
Thanks, Judith. Yes, we'll just do a short arrival practice, as Judith mentioned, just to help us all arrive and actually be present here in this virtual space we're in together. So you don't have to do anything too special, but you might just notice how you're sitting, maybe have your feet on the ground. And if you'd like to close your eyes, you're welcome to. We'll just take a few moments together. And I invite you to bring a gentle attention to the sensation of breathing. Just noticing that you're actually breathing. You've probably been breathing this whole time without noticing. So just bringing an attention to that sensation of breathing in and sensation of breathing out. You might notice if there are any areas of tension or tightness. Seeing if they can relax just a little on the exhale. As we breathe in and breathe out together, we're just bringing our mind, our body into the moment, into this present moment together. Any thoughts or distractions come up, totally normal and natural. Just noticing that too, seeing if you can let it go. Come back to the breath. And let's just take one final big inhale together, filling up the lungs, breathing in, and then letting it go with a long, slow exhale. Maybe noticing if there's anything that's shifted in your experience, having done these few breaths together. And then whenever you're ready, if your eyes have been closed, you're welcome to open them again, taking in our Zoom window together. And welcome again. I'm like, it feels like a second welcome is in order now that we've done an arrival practice. So welcome again, welcome fully. Judith and I have a lot of information to share with you today. So this is an informational session. We'll be talking a lot about the what and why of the organizational teacher certification. So just kind of a little warning, this is not what a Search Inside Yourself program feels like. With all of our programs, our teacher training, we make them super interactive and engaging, a lot of experiential exercises. Today will be a little bit more of info sharing. So Judith and I will be sharing a bunch in the first part, and we'll leave some time at the end for questions and answers. We'll make sure to wrap up by 9:45, but if there's a lot of extra questions, we can stay on a little bit longer and continue to answer them as well. So we're going to start with a little bit about why, and then we'll go into the details of the program journey, and then talk about how you might actually apply and some next steps before we get to Q&A. You may have already noticed we are recording this session, and we'll be sharing that recording with you along with a number of follow-up resources, the slides, the information guide, some more materials on how you can get going. And the recording will also be shared with everyone else who is registered for the webinar. So just an FYI on that.
Thanks, Steph. And so before we dive into everything that Steph just outlined in our time together today, we do want to highlight a few key details about the program. And we imagine that many of you that are here have eagerly been awaiting the return of our teacher training program. And we just want to start by clarifying that this training is specifically for employees of organizations to teach SIY exclusively within their company. So the training is both to learn to teach SIY, and it's also to learn how to scale and implement SIY and other mindfulness and emotional-based initiatives in your organization. And to do this, we'll be partnering with SAP, who has years of experience doing this within SAP, as well as with clients that they've been working extensively with. And the training itself will span 6 months from July through December of next year in 2021, and it will all be run virtually and held online via Zoom. So I'll share more about the details and logistics of the program later, but for now, we just wanted to clarify the purpose of the program and capture some of the key details up front.
Great, thank you, Judith. So yeah, I'd love to dig in a little more about why your organization might really benefit from Search Inside Yourself. For some of you, I know we have probably a wide range of audience here. Some of you are new to Search Inside Yourself, some of you have taken the program, some of you might be in a role of human resources, learning and development, or wellness, and looking to see how this might fit in your organization. Others might want to teach and be looking to see how can you make the case to your organization. So for all of you, a little bit about why organizations should be paying attention to mindfulness and emotional intelligence and the benefits of Search Inside Yourself. So first, a little bit around the benefits of mindfulness. Lots of great research out there. We go into more of that in the program and in the teacher training, but just a quick summary. A lot of research has found that employees who have practiced mindfulness report a greater resilience, well-being, increased immune response, and increased job satisfaction compared to those who do not practice mindfulness. So a lot of great benefits that are especially relevant in today's pandemic world and ever-changing nature of things. We see mindfulness, this ability to be present and aware, kind of like we did in that arrival practice a few minutes ago. That's really the basis of emotional intelligence, which is another critical workplace skill. The World Economic Forum a little while ago looked at the future of work, 2022. So zooming into the future, they actually estimate that 54% of employees will need reskilling due to things like automation and changing demands in the workplace. And they came up with this list of top 10 skills that will be needed. And you can see that they explicitly call out emotional intelligence as one of those top skills. That said, emotional intelligence also underpins a lot of these other skills like creativity, leadership, problem solving, our ability to work together. But you can see it's such an important skill for the future of our organizations. We recently also did a research survey that had similar results. So we surveyed about 1,000 professionals around the world, diverse range of organizations and countries. And the survey is much more robust than this, but one little finding that I wanted to share with you today was a vast agreement on the importance of emotional intelligence for people's organizations. So not only do most people agree it's important, but people agree that it will become more and more important in the future. So you can see that with those stacked bar graphs. And overall, 85% of our survey respondents said that emotional intelligence would be very important in the future for their organization. So that's where we come into play. The Search Inside Yourself Leadership Institute, we are a non-profit organization. We do call ourselves SIYLI as an acronym. You're welcome to call us SIYLI too, we won't get offended. And we focus on teaching the Search Inside Yourself program. It's a program that was initially developed at Google, and we are lucky to be able to bring it out into the world and to other organizations. And the secret kind of combination that makes the Search Inside Yourself program and our approach really special is this combination of neuroscience, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence. So we're using the latest in contemporary neuroscience to understand how the brain works, how mindfulness can work with our neuroplasticity, and to build that foundational skill of being present and aware, paying attention. And that really underpins the emotional intelligence skills. I'll get a little bit more into the curriculum of SIY a bit later, but emotional intelligence is really about increasing this awareness of ourselves, managing our emotional reactions, understanding what motivates us, and being able to work well with others. So very valuable workplace skills. You can see that these are individual skills that actually address challenges at many levels of an organization. So we see this in our clients and in the global workplace at the moment. Many organizations are facing challenges at these different levels. At an individual level, people are burnt out, stressed, maybe experiencing low productivity or disengagement from their motivation for work. At a team level, that can mean a lack of collaboration and innovation, some psychological safety challenges, or poor communication when the team is working together. It's probably exacerbated in our mostly virtual world these days. And then at an organizational level, that can lead to low engagement, which leads to low innovation, maybe a sense of loss of competitive edge or not being able to keep up with changing dynamics. Many organizations are also suffering from a misalignment between stated organizational values and the employees actually experience. The culture doesn't really live up. So you can see that emotional intelligence is needed to address all of these levels. And you can see the connection in the benefits of the Search Inside Yourself program. So I want to share a little bit from SAP itself. As Judith mentioned, SAP will be our partner in the organizational teacher training, and it's because they've done an amazing job scaling Search Inside Yourself internally within their organization to over 12,000 employees. And they've done a wonderful job measuring the results and impact of the program. So this chart shows a pre and post analysis, both 1 month and 6 months after the Search Inside Yourself program. And you can see outcomes, positive outcomes across a lot of things that touch on the challenges that I was just mentioning: increase in well-being, meaning, engagement, focus, creativity, relationships, a decrease in stress. Really important that that sustains even 6 months after the program. SAP has also done some analysis to connect the Search Inside Yourself impact to their Business Health Culture Index, an annual survey that they do internally. And they've seen a connection with increased employee engagement, increased leadership trust index, part of their index that they're measuring, and a decrease in absenteeism. In total, they've kind of crunched the numbers and they estimate a 200% return on investment for the Search Inside Yourself program that they've implemented. It's pretty amazing. This is Peter Bosselman here. He's now the Chief Mindfulness Officer at SAP, and he's going to be one of our main teachers for the organizational teacher certification, and he'll be weaving in his expertise in scaling and developing the Search Inside Yourself program within an organization, from how you make the business case, how you measure ROI, and how you scale and govern a program to really have that kind of impact. So we're super excited to have him there. So that's a little bit about the impact of the Search Inside Yourself program itself. The organizational teacher certification allows you to really bring that program in by developing internal teachers. So a few benefits, additional benefits of the organizational teacher certification. Of course, it's this ability to enhance your culture, support your team with all of those well-being, focus, outcomes that we just saw. The organizational teacher training itself, you're developing expert teachers and facilitators internally within your organization, so increasing that in-house expertise. That makes it a really cost-effective and scalable internal training that works at many levels of the organization. You're really thinking of it as developing a new class of leaders in your organization. goes beyond the Search Inside Yourself program itself, but really ways to embed the outcomes of mindfulness and emotional intelligence in your organization. And then we also support really easy and seamless delivery of the program through the SIYLI platform. It's our online platform that holds a lot of the program logistics, from follow-up emails to the program evaluation itself and that pre and post analysis. So a way of really making that program easier logistically and making it easier to scale. So I'm going to pause there, and I'd love to ask you, talked a lot about different benefits about the Search Inside Yourself program and the organizational teacher training. And I'd love to just hear from all of you in the chat feature, what motivates you to bring SIY to your organization? In just a phrase or a sentence. Julian says, good question, yes. And again, that chat, if you haven't found it, there should be a chat icon in the bottom of the bar, and you can pop open that window. Oh, save the world, I love it. Company has a lot of potential. EI will take it to the next level. Yeah, it can be a great thing to really enhance what's already there. Toxic current environment, foster psychological safety, leadership development for our managers, wonderful. Bringing mindfulness to your company. Lack of communication, stress reduction. I'm sure that's a huge one right now with all of the changes we've been seeing. Benefited from taking the course and would love to be able to share it with others. That's wonderful. I'm sure there's a number of you who have taken it and loved it and would love to bring it forward. Bringing something else to your employees rather than just projects and tasks. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, that we often get the feedback that people feel really seen as a full person by taking this program. So there's some really tactical, practical skills, and there's an intangible benefit as well. Wonderful. Well, we look forward to hearing more about that. But for now, we'll move on. And Judith, please share some of the details of how this program actually works with us.
Thanks, Steph. And I'm just loving seeing the comments still coming through and all of the reasons that are motivating you to want to do this work within your companies, and many of which we share and that we also hear in our clients. So it's just really, it's exciting and moving to see everything. So, and I also do see that a few questions have come in the chat, and we will just be holding those until the end. And for now, I want to switch gears a bit and get into the details of the training and what you all can expect. So as I mentioned before, this program will be run online via Zoom, and we've had a lot of experience virtually delivering both SIY and our in-company teacher training programs. And we're really, really excited that we've been able to translate the experience and the impact of SIY in our teacher trainings to the online world. So it's been really exciting this year. And then the training will span 6 months. And in this time, there will be 3 multi-day sessions that take place in July, September, and December. And then in between those sessions is what we call a fieldwork period. And that will consist of self-paced, individual, and group work. And just to double click on what you can expect in the 6-month journey, we've broken it down into 5 phases. So prior to the program, we ask you to complete some pre-work to start to get really familiar with the concepts in SIY and really to commit to deepening your personal practice. An important thing to call out here is that you will need to attend the SIY program prior to the start of the training if you haven't done so already. So having taken the SIY program is a mandatory prereq.
Then the second phase, we're calling that experience, and that refers to the 2 live sessions, one in July and one in September, as Judith just mentioned. Those will be probably about 5-hour days. I'm seeing some questions in the chat. And the time zone will be kind of a morning time Pacific, late afternoon, evening in Europe. If we have interest from other parts in the world, we might add additional sessions as well. And those first 2 live sessions are really about deepening your knowledge of the Search Inside Yourself content, as well as your embodiment as a teacher. So we really, you can see this as in-depth teacher training, and we think part of the magic of Search Inside Yourself is not only the curriculum, but also the skillful facilitation and really being able to embody and express mindfulness and emotional intelligence in the way you show up as a facilitator. So there's a lot of deep experiential work that's part of those 2 live sessions that frankly is a lot of fun having gone through the teacher training, I can tell you it's just really an enjoyable part of the process.
And then just one other thing to name, that in each of our sessions, we'll also be having activities focused on the what and the how of implementing SIY within your organization. So that will really be a through line throughout the entire training as well. And then we move into the learn phase, which is what we call our fieldwork period. And again, that takes place in between each of the sessions. So between session 1 and session 2, and then again between session 2 and session 3. And during this time, you'll be doing individual study and submitting assignments to really learn the content. You'll have small group meetings to practice, teach, and to support each other. And you'll also be receiving feedback and mentoring from experienced SIY teachers. And you should expect to commit about 5 hours per week to this work. And then between session 1 and session 2, you'll also have the chance to attend an SIY program at SAP. And this is a chance to experience the program again, since you'll all have already taken it prior to the start of the training. But this time you'll be taking it through the lens of a facilitator and really looking out for those embodied teaching skills that Steph was talking about. And you'll also get a chance to see how it's run and how it's applied within an organization, since I imagine that many of you have likely taken our public SIY program. And then again, throughout this time, there will be various webinars with guests and faculty to support you in bringing SIY into your organization.
Yes, and then it will be time to reconvene in December for our 3rd live session. And that session will focus more on practicing teaching, and you'll get detailed feedback on how to improve as a teacher, how to deepen into different aspects of teaching and facilitation. And it's a really wonderful experience with a lot of coaching and mentorship.
And part of this final phase is also going to be a teaching panel, and that's for the certification piece. So to really make sure that you're ready to get out there and teach. And we'll also be focusing on these specific next steps to support a successful launch, which is our final phase. And while that is the formal end of the teacher training program, this is really when the journey begins and you can get out there and teach and start bringing mindfulness and EI into your organization. And Steph will share more about what that looks like.
Yes. So the goal of the organizational teacher certification is to get you up to speed to teach the core Search Inside Yourself program. So just a little bit more about what the Search Inside Yourself program itself is. So Judith just talked about the organizational teacher training program, and that trains you to teach this SIY program, which can be delivered online or in person. Both formats work really well. In person, it's designed as a 2-day experience. Online, we have a few different format options, but it's sort of a modularized way of delivering online that's still highly interactive. And as I mentioned before, the content of the Search Inside Yourself program is really mindfulness-based emotional intelligence. So it starts with that foundation of mindfulness, bringing in the neuroscience and concepts around neuroplasticity and how we can actually shift our brain's function and behavior with a practice of mindfulness, creating skills around our attention and focus and meta attention. That creates the foundation for the emotional intelligence skills, increasing our self-awareness and self-management, how we understand and can work skillfully with our emotions. And then motivation is really about reconnecting to our values, what we enjoy the most, what matters most, our sense of purpose and meaning in life. That can be such a powerful workplace thing to do, to reconnect with that motivation and our values. It also includes these interpersonal skills. How do we work with other people? So empathy, relating to others, compassion, and we bring that all together in a section that we think of as a leadership section. You do not have to be a formal people manager or in an official leadership role. It's really about how these skills all weave together to make sure that you are kind of broadcasting the signals that you intend to. So we particularly stress, how do you do that when things are challenging? How do you hold difficult conversations with an awareness of yourself and with empathy and compassion for others? How do you bring that forward in accordance with your values and what's meaningful to you? So the Search Inside Yourself program has worked so well with a really wide range of audiences. It works wonderfully as an open enrollment program, as a kind of wellness offering or skill building training for anyone bringing people together across an organization. And we've also worked with clients to bring it to specific audiences, whether that's new managers, emerging leaders, or even senior executives. So it can be a really versatile part of a HR strategy or learning and development program or a wellness offering. So we see clients using it in a lot of different ways because these are really fundamental skills about how we work with others. In addition to the core Search Inside Yourself program, after the organizational teacher certification, there are a number of other things that you'll be trained to do. And this is so important because we really see this as kind of an ecosystem approach to weave all of these skills and tools into your organization's fabric. So there's the Search Inside Yourself program itself. We also have a new adaptive resilience program. It's a shorter offering that really focuses on just those key adaptive resilience skills. It's also mindfulness based and emotional intelligence, but a little bit of a narrower tactical focus. Of course, we designed that for this year and this moment in time, and those are really important life skills as well. We also have some ways you can introduce the Search Inside Yourself program with keynotes and short hour or hour and a half sessions. Those are great to weave into team offsites, so that can be an internal offering for you. There are other ways you might also integrate these concepts into your organization. For example, leading mindfulness meetings or mindful lunches, or also leading a mindfulness practice group. It can be wonderful to have a place where people can come and just taste some of these kinds of practices before going into a longer program, or after a longer program to really build and sustain habit. And then if you are looking for more teaching opportunities or more impact, you're also welcome to teach pro bono for free to small nonprofits. And that can just be a wonderful way to continue to develop your teaching skills and to give back to a community that you're a part of. So Judith, who should apply?
Yes. So if this is all sounding good so far and you think this program would be a good fit for your organization, we really encourage you or a group of your peers to apply. And as we mentioned before, you do need to be a current employee of an organization who intends to teach to your peers within your company. And beyond that, we're also looking for people who are really passionate about bringing SIY and mindfulness and emotional intelligence practices into their organization. And the program will support you in implementing SIY in these practices, but we are also looking for people who might already have some level of involvement or at least a vision and plans for what this could look like within your organization. And then we're also looking for people who have an established and consistent mindfulness practice, since this is one of the core elements of our program and how we train emotional intelligence. And then lastly, just some experience facilitating to larger groups of around 30 or more people. And then just to highlight too, earlier Steph had listed some of the benefits for employees and the organization. And we also want to highlight that there are a lot of personal benefits to participating in this training. In addition to learning the content, the training really develops very unique facilitation skills that deepen your presence and your embodiment. And this impacts how you show up, not just when you're teaching, but in your work and in your life and in your relationships. And we've also heard from many people that teaching SIY within their company and to their peers is one of the most rewarding and meaningful parts of their work. And it really increases their sense of engagement with their work and also their company. And then lastly, you'll be joining a community of 700 plus SIY teachers and like-minded individuals to be on this lifelong journey with.
Yes, and we're especially excited about this specific community that will be coming together for the organizational teacher training. So it's both this big global community that Judith mentioned, as well as this community of champions, of people that are really bringing this forward in their organizations. So before we get to Q&A, probably some of you are holding questions about costs and next steps. So let me address some of those. In terms of costs, the organizational teacher certification itself does have a tuition cost. We have an early bird rate of $10,000 per person. That's if you apply before January 5th. So you still have a few more months to consider it and put in your application. But would be great if you apply early, because we do expect that this program will fill up. We're going to keep it a deliberately small and limited cohort. After January 5th, that price does increase to $12,000, and you'll restore the early bird rate if more than one person from your organization joins us. So we really are encouraging you to join with at least one other person from your organization, since the Search Inside Yourself program is designed to be co-taught, and it's wonderful to have a co-teacher within your organization and someone who can help sustain your motivation for doing this work. We do have some limited tuition assistance available, but to be frank, it is a bit limited. We are expecting that you will have at least some amount of support from your organization, whether that's part of a sort of HR, L&D budget, or part of a professional development stipend or something like that. But that's part of the application, and please feel free to apply for the funds that you feel you need. After the organizational teacher certification program, we do require that participants co-teach with an experienced SIY teacher at least twice. And this is an opportunity for continued coaching and mentorship for you as a teacher. And it's also a way of really supporting you to launch a program successfully. Those first few SIY programs are the launch of this initiative, and we can help support you to make sure that just goes really well and successfully. That will be after the end of the organizational teacher certification. So if you're just thinking about it in terms of budgeting, that will probably be 2022 budget. After that, there's a licensing fee for delivering the Search Inside Yourself program. It's $150 per person, but capped at $5,000. So you're welcome to have some larger cohorts. And that's for delivering the Search Inside Yourself program and some of the shorter versions. The Adaptive Resilience program also has a licensing fee. It's a little lower, but the intros and integrated practices, there's no fee for. So the SIY keynote, practice groups, and other ways you might weave this into your organization, of course, are free, and we just really encourage you to be creative and innovative to really meet your culture and the organization that you're in. I know these fees might seem high looking at them this way, but actually the program is cost effective compared to hiring SIYLI to come and deliver a program after just one program. So this really is a cost-effective way of bringing Search Inside Yourself into your organization and bringing it to scale. And Judith, how would folks apply?
Well, applications are open, which is super exciting, and you can find the link to apply on our website. And as Steph mentioned, there is the early bird pricing discount, so we do encourage you to apply before January 4th for this, and then applications fully close at the end of April. And we also do encourage you to apply early given the pricing discount, but also since we'll be accepting applicants on a rolling basis, and as Steph shared, it is going to be a smaller, more intimate cohort. And then once you apply, you should expect to hear back from us within 4 to 6 weeks. So again, you can visit our website for more information and to start your application. And we'll be sending out the link to the program details and where to apply in our follow-up email. And then just before we transition into questions from you all, we just wanted to leave you with a sweet testimonial from someone who has gone through our teacher training program. I would highly recommend this program for personal growth and inspiring a movement that could transform leadership and business performance.
Yes. And we'll now have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. I know there have been a bunch in the chat already, and maybe I'll just address a couple that I've seen. There's probably a bunch that I haven't seen. I know somebody said, why Zoom? And to be honest, with the COVID-19 pandemic and uncertainty, we wanted to make sure that we could just go ahead and do this and plan for it next year, and allow all of you to plan for it as well. We have been holding our teacher training programs this year with organizations online, and we've been amazed how well it works. We actually get the same program evaluation scores for the online Search Inside Yourself program and for our in-person. And it allows a more global community to come together. As you've seen from the chat on this webinar, it's really amazing how many people can come together from very disparate places around the world. So that's why it's on Zoom. I also saw somebody asked about, will you get slides for the program and for the Search Inside Yourself program and its different variations, and for adaptive resilience? Yes, we do share slides as well as a very detailed teacher guide. So there's a lot of support for actually teaching the program. And the teacher guide has information for you as a teacher, and as well as for an online version, it has a lot of the behind the scenes Zoom support instructions. It's a really robust manual. So I'd love to invite some other voices in here. If you would like to ask a question, please feel free to use the raise hand icon. So you'll have to open the participant window, and at the bottom of the participant window, there should be a raise hand icon. And I'd love to take some questions. I'm also seeing some different questions in the chat. I'm wondering if Sarah or Judith, have either of you noticed anything vital that I should start with? Maybe a note about prerequisites. So attending the Search Inside Yourself program is a prerequisite for the organizational teacher certification. So we want you to know what you're going to be trained to teach. You can apply before you've attended, but you will need to attend beforehand. I'm seeing some questions about cost. So again, there is that tuition cost. Then there is a co-teaching fee. So each person will need to co-teach twice. So that's $10,000 per co-teaching program. And then there's the licensing fee. When we bring the Search Inside Yourself program into an organization, our typical costs are about $30,000. So it is a very cost-effective way of bringing the Search Inside Yourself program to your organization. So I'm seeing some hands, and let's start with Tobias. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, hey, Steph.
Hi.
Yeah, this was quite interesting. So I'm wondering if you have some experience in like how to bring Search Inside Yourself into a university context. So teaching to students in the university, is this something you've been doing before?
Yes, thank you, Tobias. It's a great question. And I'll answer it specifically and then a little more generally too. So we have done some work with universities, both for students as well as for faculty and staff. And I've heard in particular that the staff appreciate it, that they feel like they don't always get a lot of professional development opportunity. With students, we do see it in particular in a grad school context. That can work well. We've worked with some MBA programs in particular, and some other kind of more professional development programs. That has worked wonderfully. In general, the Search Inside Yourself program has worked remarkably well across industries and sectors. So we have partners that are government organizations, that are large nonprofits, that are universities, as well as, of course, a range of corporate sectors, a lot of tech companies, given our origins at Google, as well as many other sectors and geographies around the world. Yeah, thanks for that question, Tobias.
Well, thanks a lot. Just a brief follow-up. So I guess the pricing model for universities, is that the same as for anyone else, or is there kind of like ways to kind of scale it up to like thousands of students? Is that something you've done before?
That's a great question. The pricing model is the same because the licensing fee is such a discount compared to the cost of bringing in external teachers. We don't have a specific pricing model different for universities. We haven't ever seen anyone in a university bring it to thousands and thousands of students, but we would welcome you to be the first. That would be really exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tobias.
And just in terms of the scale and kind of cost effectiveness as well, as Steph mentioned, the licensing fee is $150 per person up to $5,000 per program. So I think that's about 30 people. So anything above that is also a great way to think about scale. So having kind of larger class sizes is a really great way to kind of maximize that investment there.
Yeah. I'm seeing a question from Suzanne. Suzanne, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm really interested in this program. I was just wondering, I didn't really understand the part of when you were saying that everyone who learns this or goes through this learning is not allowed to practice it outside the own company. Did I get that right? Because teaching for me, it's like practicing in general and sharing and sharing the ideas. Is that correct?
Yes, so thank you for that question. This version of our teacher training, this organizational teacher certification, is really designed for people who want to teach to their colleagues within their organization, much like the SAP model. And Peter Bosselman came and developed this program within SAP. So that's the intention, and this program will certify you to teach within your organization. And then we have that extra pro bono option for folks that want more teaching experience to share it with nonprofits in their community. But it is not a certification for individuals that are looking to be consultants or to teach for other clients.
And is there any preparation that one could choose within the offerings that you have, where one is open also to practice outside the own organization?
So that's not the intention of this version of our teacher training. So we've run the sort of a open enrollment teacher training in the past that is for folks that are certified to teach wherever to other organizations. And we may bring another of those back in the future, but it won't be for next calendar year. That said,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist at the moment. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I know people have some questions about what if I leave my organization, what if I move on? And so, again, the intention of this program is for folks teaching within their organization. And we know that people don't stay in jobs forever. So if you do move to another organization, you'll be able to bring your credential with you and bring Search Inside Yourself into your new organization. And if you've been teaching for some time and leave organizational work altogether, there may be a pathway for you to become certified to teach to other client organizations as well. But again, that's not the primary intention here. I'm getting a question of why does the other version not exist at the moment? And as Judith mentioned, we have over 700 teachers around the world at the moment, and we're kind of pausing on adding to that community. It's a really wonderful community, and we want to really shift our focus to supporting this internal champion group and to deepening our work with organizations. And I also saw a question of, do we have a yearly certification fee? And no, there's no yearly certification fee, just the licensing fees. So I know we're getting close to stated time and there are more questions. So I'd love to bring us to a formal close, and then Judith and Sarah and I will stay online for another 10 minutes or so and answer some more questions. But for anyone who has a time limit and has to hop off, just want to say, another note about where you can find more information. So after this webinar, we'll be sharing a recording of this webinar, the slides, some more resources with you. We'll email it out to you. There's also more information, and the application is on our website at SIYLI.org/programs organizational-teaching. So the application is there, and the program info guide and other things. If you do have any questions that haven't been answered on this webinar, feel free to reach out to us at teach@SIYLI.org, and we'll make sure to answer all of your questions. So with that, I'd love to bring to just a formal close, because I know some people have some time constraints and might need to hop off. And just a huge thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate your time, your interest, your enthusiasm. And maybe we can all just take one breath together before we move on. Just sending some appreciation to yourself for showing up here today. And I look forward to seeing you, seeing your questions, hopefully seeing some of your applications as well. And again, Judith and I will hang out for a little bit longer and just keep answering some of your questions. So let's see, Jeff, I see a question from you. I'm gonna ask you to unmute. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, can you see me?
Yep.
So yeah, it's about the licensing. Is it that each time you teach it within your organization, let's say to a group of 20 or 30 people, you collect or you pay SIYLI 150 per person for that instruction. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, and it is capped at 5,000. So if you have a group larger than, I think that's about larger than 33 or 34 people, you don't pay additional licensing. And there's no specific cap for how many people can be in a program. We recommend programs be about 30 to 60 people, but there is some range and wiggle room. And if certainly it's more cost effective for you to hold slightly larger programs. So you could hold 80-person programs, and that would be at the 5,000 per program kind of capped fee. And we do it that way partly because as a nonprofit, one of the things we care about is reaching as many people as possible. So we do want to kind of encourage you to bring people into those programs and have some flexibility for folks that are doing small programs. So a little bit of complexity there. Yeah, thanks for the question, Jeff.
Just quickly a quick follow-up. So that if you hit the 30 people, and let's say you hit 30 people, and then 2 months later, another department is interested in the program, you again are paying 150 per person in that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So there's no, the cap is just per seating.
Per program. Yep, per program session. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hi. I have a question from Singapore. I just want to understand whether the training timing take into consideration participant from Asia.
Yes, great question. So I know that the timing that we have kind of presented and proposed is very tough in Asia. It does go into the wee hours of the morning. In general, we have seen more interest from the US and Europe, but we have done some teacher trainings. We did one in Thailand, and we know there's a lot of interest in different parts of Asia. So if we do get enough interest from folks in Asia, we will open up a session that's at a different time zone. So if that speaks to you, please reach out and let us know. We'll be tracking how many people that applies to.
So the one that is coming up in 2021, July to December, that's not catered to the Asian timing. Am I right?
That's correct. Yeah. It would be possible for a night owl. I think it will go to sort of 1 or 2 in the morning, but it is not catered to the Asian time zone.
We are doing a program currently within an organization, and they are kind of spanning their global workforce. And so we start really early in the Pacific time zone so that but it goes really late into the, as Steph said, kind of the early mornings into the Asia Pacific time zone. So it's doable and also a bit challenging.
It is doable. Let's say, for example, if I'm prepared up to, let's say, 1 or 2 a.m. like now,
yeah,
it is doable, right?
I think it might even be just about until midnight or so. I can double check the time. So it is definitely well beyond working hours, but it's not at like 3 or 4 in the morning in APAC.
Right. I've got one more question on the co-training, because let's say as a new teacher, it is expected that there would be a co-teacher who would, or more experienced one who would do a session with me, and that we have to pay another USD 10,000 without paying the licensing fee. Now, how many sessions must we do? Can we do it the first time, or is there a minimum number of co-teaching that is needed?
Judith, do you want to take that one too?
Sure. Yeah, so I'll start with the second part of your question. So the minimum number of times that we do require co-teaching is 2 times. And as Steph shared, we really encourage you utilizing that support from an experienced co-teacher for the first 2 sessions, both because it's a lot to manage the first time that you're teaching, knowing the content, kind of facilitating in person over Zoom. So it's really, really great to have the support of someone who's experienced. And they also can really help support a really successful kind of pilot program in those first initial sessions as you're bringing SIY into your company. So we would encourage it to be the first 2 sessions. And I think it could also be kind of one immediately after completing the training, having another chance to do it with someone else, and then to support your ongoing development. But we do require 2 times at minimum.
Yeah.
Right.
And I see a question, does the co-teacher get any of that 10K? Yes, we do pay our teachers what we think are reasonable and generous teaching fees. So it is not all going to SIYLI. A good portion of that is the cost for the facilitator. Judy, I believe you've had your hand up for a while. I'll ask you to unmute.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, maybe I can just take it offline. I just need more detail. I was just wondering, because what I want to do is sell this idea inside my organization, because I'm a big believer in it. I was just wondering if there's like a 1-pager that could facilitate me explaining the benefits of the program and then the costing and the commitment.
Great question. I'm like, we have a many-page thing for you. I see how a 1-pager would also be helpful. So we'll happily put that together. Yeah, we do have a full kind of program guide that has that, and we'll also share these slides, but we're happy to help you put together something shorter, a better summary.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. So I'll reach out and send you guys my email address.
Wonderful. That sounds great.
Okay.
Yes, I see Kevin agrees with you on the 1-pager.
And there will be some other kind of resources embedded in that too. Kind of, there's a template for a business case deck, so to really help kind of make the case for why this program and this training within your organization. So it will be a 1-pager with probably quite a few links in there. So.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I think, it's going to accompany the Search Inside Yourself book that I'm going to send along to my, cohorts that will say, hey, this is a real thing. So I've researched it quite a bit, but I think just in terms of the sales pitch, just the numbers and the nuances that you guys are going through, it's really articulating for the organization what's the total cost commitment and then the total time commitment, which is something that they always want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Judy. And I love the idea of sharing the SIY book with folks too. It is nice to give people evidence of like, this is a real thing. They're
right.
legitimate.
For some reason, a book makes everything legit.
Let's see. Gozia, I see I'm not sure if I am pronouncing your name right, but please go ahead. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you. I just have, I guess, one clarifying question, and I was just wondering. So basically, like when you teach the SYA program, you need 2 persons to do it. So I was just wondering. So is the requirement actually for 2 persons per organization to go through the training, or is there a chance, for instance, like to build a case that you just have 1 person that goes through the training first, you start delivering it, and then it's kind of, well, given how awesome programs are, I suppose it's just like catches fire and then you can send another person, but it's just like making a case for 2 from the start might be
hard. Yeah. That's a great question. Thank you for that. So yes, the Search Inside Yourself program is kind of designed to be co-taught, and we do recommend that, but it is not a requirement. And so you are welcome to teach it solo after you've done the 2 co-teaching sessions with an experienced teacher. So if you're coming solo from your organization, you'd co-teach with an experienced teacher twice, and then you could continue to teach on your own until you find a good co-teacher and buddy that is up for the teacher training as well. So that is a possibility.
Yeah. And something we've been finding with the pricing breakdown too is it seems like a big additional cost to send a second person to the training. And if it is just like having to hire another co-teacher for 1 additional session so that it's not 1 teacher teaching the program, it does actually kind of negate that additional cost. So we can send that in our follow-up resource, but just kind of looking at the different, the different costs of training 1 or 2 people and then the co-teaching piece. And
great. And all those additional materials, like in the addition to the report that you have and so on, will receive after this. So everyone who attended, who signed up for the seminar will be you'll be sharing these files, yeah?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I see a question from Kevin. Let me ask you to unmute.
Okay, thank you. And with regard to the prerequisites, obviously the more depth you have to your mindfulness practice, the better. In the past, I believe for the individual programs, there was a requirement for a full retreat or a week-long retreat. Is there something similar for this organizational dimension?
Judith,
It is,
yeah.
yes, it is not required to apply nor to formally complete the certification. It's strongly recommended just as part of kind of that depth of personal practice. So it's something we're looking for in our applicants and in the application, but it's definitely not a requirement.
Yeah, and one thing I should have mentioned, so thank you for this late reminder. There's some actually great research on how peers learning from peers, the programs are more successful. And so that's really the rationale. We're a little bit less picky about retreat experience, a little bit more lenient around hours of mindfulness practice for this, because there's such a benefit of people teaching to their colleagues. There's some great research about how bringing mindfulness into the military, expert facilitators with years and years and years of mindfulness practice actually didn't have the same impact as people who were just engaged in a teacher training and taught to their peers. So that's one of the huge benefits of this model, and why we are focused on this internal teacher training.
Yeah. And we see that with our in-company teacher trainings too. A lot of times they will bring in expert teachers, like as we mentioned, for that kind of support as people are getting started. And it's really incredible to see that the program evaluation and facilitator scores are so high for these brand new teachers, because they're able to have that real integration and resonance with the internal culture and context.
So I know, oh, I see a physical hand. Please go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, Ilan again. There were related question around if someone who's trained and then leave the organization, and you mentioned earlier that the person can go on training, but there was a reply that say the person can go can do that with a global certification. What does that global certification mean? Is there any more cost implication or more recertification?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if after teaching within your program, within your organization, so okay, imagine you come, you participate in the organizational teacher certification, teach for a while within your organization, but decide to leave and move on. If, assuming you have been a teacher in kind of good standing, you will have an option to become what we think of as a globally certified teacher, meaning you can teach anywhere, including to your own clients. That does have an annual licensing or annual certification fee of $500 a year. And it has a similar licensing fee to SIYLI for whenever you teach, whether that's to clients or within a new organization.
All right, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I know.
And thank you for tracking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say thank you, Ilan, for tracking the comments too and the follow-on questions. So just appreciating that.
Yes. So I know we're at 10 o'clock our time on the hour, wherever you are. And I think we'll close it here. Thank you so much again for being here. Really, really happy to see many of your faces, your questions. I know that there are a lot of details and complexities here. So again, please feel free to reach out to us at teach@SIYLI.org if you didn't get your questions answered or need any more support. And again, we'll be sharing this recording and more resources with you as well.
Thank you.
Yes.